Hi beautiful yogis, welcome to your booty and leg flow. So obviously today we'll be working on our butt muscles, on our legs, definitely strengthening them a lot. But we'll also be working a little bit on creating flexibility in the hip muscles and in the legs, so hamstrings, quads, all that good stuff. In general, you won't really need any props for today unless you want to modify one of the stretching poses. So if you feel like you don't have a ton of flexibility in the hips and the legs, maybe make sure that you have a pillow, a block, a book, anything close by that you can reach for once we come towards the end of the practice. And you want to prop your hips up to get a little bit more access in those stretching poses. That being said, let's get straight into it. So you can come to lay down onto your spine with your feet together, knees apart. So the soles of the feet will come together, your knees will fall open towards the floor. And from here, just bring the arms alongside the body, tuck your shoulder blades underneath your chest here to create a nice opening through the chest. And then we'll take a few moments here just to settle into our body before we actually start the practice. So just take a moment to observe yourself. Notice how you are feeling today. So notice your emotions, your thoughts. And as much as you can, try not to judge. So just observing, becoming aware. And then drop that awareness down to the body. Check in with yourself physically. Notice if you feel any muscles that are holding on to stress or tension. And as much as you can, try to release them. And gently start deepening your breath. So try to bring the air deeper into the lungs. And you can actually direct or guide the breath down towards the lower belly and the hips. So in general in yoga, wherever you feel the stretch in the body, that's where you're trying to breathe towards. So we're basically using the breath to assist those muscles to release their tension and to soften. Good, we'll stay here for about 5 more breaths. See if you can slow down your breathing. And if it feels good for you, you can even hold a small break in between the inhales and the exhales. So at the bottom of the exhale, you would wait for maybe 2 or 3 seconds before you inhale. And then at the top of the inhale, you wait for about 2 or 3 seconds before you start the exhalation. And the slowing down of the breath is really good to help your nervous system to calm down as well, since they are very much interrelated. So we're just prepping ourselves mentally and physically with the breath for our yoga practice. And gently start awakening your Ujjayi breath by contracting or constricting the back of your throat as if you're trying to fog up a mirror. It's that same kind of engagement of the throat, but you just want to make sure that you keep breathing through your nose and you make that sound both for the inhales and the exhales. Beautiful, 2 more breaths. And then from here, with your hands, take hold of the upper thighs, pull them in towards you. You can keep your knees quite wide here. Just try to pull the knees in towards your chest as far as they want to come in, and then breathe down towards the hips. Now we'll do a few ankle rolls. So just first start by rolling the ankles out. We'll be doing quite a lot of poses on our feet today. A lot of them will be balancing poses, so we want to awaken the muscles of our ankles here, and then turn the rotation inwards. So circling in. Notice how usually there's one side that can make perfect circles and the other one is just having a lot of trouble. It's pretty normal for the body to not be fully balanced or equal. Good, 2 more circles. And then from here, we'll bring the circles higher up into the hips, so you can just relax your ankles for now. We're gonna start by making outward circles, I guess. So first come in, bring the circles out, and then in. I guess these are inward circles. I don't know. Doesn't really matter because we'll reverse direction just in a second. So you can release your hold of the knees here. Just using the muscles of the legs to circle from the hips. Just notice if you feel any cracking. It's quite normal for people here to feel some cracking. All right, and then bring the circles inwards. Try to make the circle as big as you can. Good, I'll do about 3 more. Last one. And then pull your knees into your chest, give them a big hug in. Good, and then release your left leg to the floor, keep the right one in. Gently pull your knee in towards your chest. Give it a good squeeze in until you feel a nice stretch here on the outside of the right hip. You might feel a bit of compression in the front of the hip, which is totally fine as long as it's not a pinching sensation. Good, and then you have the option to stay here. If you want to take it a little bit further and take it also a little bit higher up the stretch, you can take hold of the sole of the foot, flip your foot up towards the ceiling, and try to keep your knee bent, so don't extend your leg here. And then again, pressing your knee closer in towards your chest. You'll notice that this modification will bring the stretch higher up into the hamstring, whereas the other one with the heel close to the hip has the stretch more on the outside of the hip rather than the hamstring. Good, we'll hold this one for 2 more breaths, and then we'll switch to the other side. So see if you can breathe towards the back of the right hip and the outside of the right hip. Relax your left leg. And then switch over to the other side. So bring your right leg back down, bring your left knee in, firmly press it in towards your chest until you feel that stretch on the outside of the left hip. Maybe you feel it more on the front here, where your groin is, which is totally normal. A lot of people actually feel it there. And then from here, option to stay here. This is your option 1. Option 2, just take hold of the sole of the foot, flip it up towards the ceiling, come to a reverse or a supine high lunge. And then keep your breath deep here and breathe towards where you feel the stretch the most. One more breath in and out. Good. Release the left foot, bring the right knee back in. Take hold of the back sides of the upper thighs, and then if you can, and if it feels good for the spine, you can roll forward to a seated position. Cross the lower legs. If you can, roll over your knees towards your tabletop position. So in tabletop position, you have your hands right underneath your shoulders, knees right underneath your hips. So the knees are hip distance apart. Walk the hands away from you, come to your puppy pose. Bring your forehead down onto the floor. And then really imagine that you're lengthening through the whole spine. So you're pressing your hips quite firmly back towards the wall behind you. You're reaching through your fingertips forward. Press the palms of the hands firmly down. And see if you can find a little bit more space in between your shoulder blades. So bringing your shoulders a little bit more broad. Good, 2 more breaths. And you'll probably feel the stretch through the chest, the shoulders, but hopefully also a little bit here at the back of the hips. All right, next inhale, walk the hands back in towards you, towards your tabletop position. So wrists right underneath the shoulders. Your knees should still be in the same place. I'm just going to walk a little bit back so I'm in the middle of the frame. Good. From here, start engaging your core. So lift your belly in towards the spine and then see if you can gently pull it up towards your heart. It's a very small motion here. This is called your Uddiyana Bandha. Once your core is nicely engaged, lift your right foot up with the knee bent. Imagine that you're trying to kick something that is about a centimeter above of your foot. So this is going to help you engage your glute, and then to engage the hamstring, see if you can pull your heel in towards your hip. Good, so the whole leg is engaged here. Also engage the inner thighs to make sure that your hips stay stable. So don't allow this right hip to open up to the side. In other words, your right knee is looking straight down. On your next exhale, draw the knee in towards your chest, as close to you as you can. And then we'll bring the lower leg, so the right lower leg just outside of the left leg. From here, bring your left knee off of the floor, and then pull your heel in towards your hip, engaging the inner thighs to keep the hips stable, core stays engaged. On the exhale, bring the knee in as close to you as you can. Bring the left foot on the outside of the right hip. So we're just crossing over. We'll do that one more time. Try to keep your hands where they are. It might become really hard the closer you get towards the hands, especially if you don't have that much mobility yet in the hips. But you could always lift your hands if you want to. From here, last one, lift your right leg back up. Again, really pressing that foot up towards the ceiling to engage your glute, and then pull your heel in towards the hip to engage your hamstrings. We'll hold it for one more deep inhale. Core stays engaged. On the exhale, pull the knee into your chest. You might have to bring the knee a little bit out here to bring the right leg on the outside of the left hip. So your right knee should be in front, left knee behind you. See if you can walk your left foot a little bit more out, and then sit your hips in between your heels here. So both hips are down, heels are just on the outside of your hips. I'll just turn perspective so you guys can see what's happening here. You want to have both knees in line, the heels close to your hips. If you notice that there's a lot of space in between your knees, feel free to take that book, blanket, block, whatever you have, and come to sit onto it so that your hips are a little bit higher and it's easier to bring your knees closer together. Also, if you feel any kind of pinching sensation in your top knee, try to sit onto something. If it's still painful, then just completely skip this pose. All right, so you should feel a good stretch here on the outside of the right hip. Inhale, reach your arms up, lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, reach forward, place your palms down. And then again, a lot of space or a lot of length through the spine here as you fold over the legs. Imagine that your chest is trying to reach forward towards your thumbs, which is going to assist you in keeping your spine tall. And then guide your breath down towards the right hip. Two more deep breaths. Good. From here, walk the hands back towards you. Again, I'm going to switch over to this side here, which is where you guys are, so you're facing the front of the mat. Walk your hands back forward, come back to your tabletop position. From here, we'll bring the legs back to where they were. So bring the right knee in towards your chest. See if you can unhook it, bring it back behind you. Again, lift your foot up towards the ceiling, pull your heel in towards you, engage the inner thighs, core stays engaged, nice deep breath in. Exhale, place your right knee down behind the left one, and then bring the left knee in. On the inhale, reach your left leg back. Again, leg at about a 90-degree angle, press your heel up, or your foot up, and then your heel in towards your hips, and your thighs engaged. And then step it behind the right knee. Good. Last one. From here, bring the right knee in towards your chest. Bring it back. Inhale here. Really press your leg up or your foot up. And then exhale, bring it down. Come back to your tabletop position. Now we're going to do that. We're going to just reverse it to the other side and then come to Gomukhasana on the left side. So from here, first bring your left leg up. Again, your knee is bent, you're pressing your heel up or your foot up towards the ceiling, heel in towards your hips to engage your hamstring, engage the inner thighs to keep your hips neutral. On the exhale, draw your your left knee in towards your chest. Bring the left foot on the outside of the right leg. From here, lift your right leg up towards the ceiling. Press your heel in towards your hip, inner thighs engaged. On the exhale, bring the right knee forward. Step the right foot on the outside of the left knee. Last one, try to keep your hands where they are. Bring your left leg up. Good. Don't forget to engage the inner thighs. Exhale, knee forward. This time, instead of bringing the knee in between the hands, you might have to bring it on the outside of the left one to scoot your left leg towards the right side. So from here, knees are in line, so the left knee is in front of the right one. You want to bring your right foot a little bit more out and then come to sit in between your heels. Again, I'm going to change perspective so that you guys can see me from the front. So my knees are in line, heels are close to my hips. Again, feel free to come to sit onto something if that makes the pose more comfortable for you. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold over. Allow your head to hang heavy here, relax your neck. And then see if you can keep both hips grounded into the floor. Sometimes, especially if this is quite a big stretch for the outside of the left hip will have a tendency to want to lift up a little bit away from the floor. If that's the case, see if you can walk the right foot a little bit more out, giving your left hip a bit more space to stay down. Two more breaths. Inhale, walk the hands back towards you. You should be facing the front of your mat. We'll come back to our tabletop position with our left knee in front of the right one. Again, you want to have your hands pretty close to your knees here. From here, bring your left knee into your chest. See if you can step the left foot back. And then, oops, we almost forgot a step here. Bring your left leg back into the air. Good, hold it for a nice deep breath in. Exhale, step the left knee behind the right one. Good. On your next exhale, draw the right knee into your chest. Bring the right foot on the outside of the left one, and then lift your right leg back into the air. Again, nicely engaging the inner thighs. Good. On the exhale, step the right knee just behind the left one again. One more time, left knee into chest. Exhale. Inhale, extend your left knee up into the air. Again, pressing your heel up towards the ceiling and then in towards your hip. And then exhale, bring it down. Really good. From here, walk your hands about one hand forward, come towards your downward dog, so lift your hips up and back. Take a few moments here, maybe pedal out the feet to bring the stretch a little bit more into the hamstrings and the calves. Good. From here, walk the feet together, bend your knees, sit your hips back, look forward, take little steps towards the front of the mat. Bring the feet hip distance apart, so there's a bit of space in between your legs. Allow the upper body to hang heavy. Take hold of opposite elbows. Really relax your head here, allow it to be heavy. You can always bend your knees as much as you have to. You should feel a nice stretch through the backs of the thighs, so the hamstrings into the glutes, your booty. Next inhale, come halfway up. So you want to extend your spine forward, and depending on your flexibility, you will place your hands in different places. So the hands could be right on the upper thighs, lower legs, or they could be down onto the floor. You just want to make sure that you find an option that allows you to keep your spine straight. So imagine the crown of your head reaching forward. On the exhale, fold over again. Inhale, roll all the way up, bring the arms overhead, stretch out the whole body. And exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good. We'll come into chair pose. So from here, press your weight back as if there's a chair behind you. Bend your knees. Imagine you're trying to go and sit onto that chair. So really press your booty back, and then bend down so that your fingertips are just grazing the floor. Now really press through the heels back here so that most of the weight here is on the back sides of the feet. You'll keep your legs in this position at this angle. From here, just lift the upper body up. Good. So you want to tuck your tailbone slightly under. So just engage your core, bring the fronts of the hip bones in towards your lower ribs. Tailbone comes a little bit down. Core is engaged. And then to activate the legs here, you want to imagine you have a block in between the upper thighs, so you're engaging the inner thighs without actually moving the knees in. So the knees stay in line with the hips. You just imagine that you're trying to pull them together without actually moving. And then you're also engaging the outer hips in. So it feels like a firming action. If you were to put the strength of your glutes on a scale from 0 to 10, you would aim for about a 5 out of 10 strength-wise of engagement of the glutes. Good. We'll hold this chair for about 3 more breaths. If you want to challenge yourself, option 2 is to come high onto the tippy toes. Good. 2 more breaths. See if you can lengthen the spine just a little bit more. Last inhale. If you're in option 2, on the exhale, come back to option 1. From here, just keep your left knee bent, step your right foot back, and then bring the heel onto the floor, coming into Warrior 1. So in Warrior 1, you have either your heels in one line. For most women, I would say walk your front foot a little bit more out towards the left side to create more space for the hips to open up towards the front of the mat. Because in Warrior 1, we want to work towards having the hips facing forward towards the front of the mat and not sideways. This is Warrior 2, basically. Warrior 1 is hips pointing forward. So from here, you want to have a big bend in the front knee. Take a look over your kneecap here of your front knee. You want to make sure that the middle of your kneecap is in line with your second big toe. If it's not, and if it's pointing in, see if you can engage the left glute a little bit. If it's way out, engage the inner thigh a bit more. All right, from here, firmly press through the outside of the back foot. Rotate your right upper thigh a little bit in. Good. We'll hold it for 2 more breaths. Just imagine that you're trying to draw your heels in towards one another to help you engage the backs of the thighs, the hamstrings here. On the exhale, bring the hands behind you. You can interlace your fingers, press the palms together, open the chest. On the exhale, fold forward. Keep pressing your left hip back, right hip forward. Drop the head down and then press the arms overhead forward. Good. Keep imagining that you're trying to draw the heels in towards one another. Maybe bend it a little bit more through the front knee. On the exhale, bring the hands down. Pivot your back heel off of the floor so that you're in high lunge. And if you walked your foot, your front foot out to the side, bring it back in so that it's back underneath your shoulder. Right hand is right underneath the right shoulder. Keep your hips leveled. So imagine you have a cup here on your sacrum, on your low back, and then just reach your left arm up. You're opening the chest up towards the left side, but you're opening from the middle back up. So the low back and the hips stay stable. They stay where they are, parallel to the floor. It's just the upper spine that is opening up towards the left side. Good. Keep engaging your left glute here, your left hip, to make sure that this left knee is not pulling in. And then from here, come hang onto the tippy toes of your right hand. See if you can open up completely to the left side. Lift the upper body up, coming into a twisted high lunge. Press the back of the back knee up towards the ceiling to extend your back leg. And then open up, cartwheel towards the right side. So now we're in warrior two. This time our hips will be facing sideways. Your back foot is at a 90-degree angle or slightly, and it could be like 85 degrees. Big bend in the front knee again. Bring the arms parallel to the floor alongside the body. See if you can keep the shoulders relaxed. Core stays engaged, and again you're pulling your sacrum, your tailbone under. You should really feel your left quads by now, the front of the left thigh. You should really feel that one starting to warm up. From here, bring your left elbow on the upper left thigh. Reach your right hand forward, coming into an extended side angle pose. Now you want to make sure that as you are bringing the elbow on the thigh, you're not pulling the knee in. So keep engaging your glutes, your booty muscles, to make sure your front knee stays in line with the second big toe, remember? And then imagine there's a wall behind you. You're trying to bring both shoulders against that wall. So you're pressing this right shoulder back to open the chest. Core stays engaged. And exhale, bring the hands down. Bring your right knee down as well. Walk the front foot out. Bring the left hand on the inside of the left foot. So both hands are back, shoulder width apart. Your left foot is on the outside of the left hand. From here, we'll come a little bit into a stretch here, a bit of a lizard pose. You have the option to stay here if you're ready to feel a really good stretch through the hips. Maybe see if you can open your chest a little bit. So opening the chest towards the front of your mat, pressing your shoulders back. So the heads of the shoulders, the tops here are pulling back. Good. You could stay here. If you want to take it a little bit further, see if you can walk your elbows down onto the floor. Again, if the elbows don't come down, maybe take your block, place it underneath your elbows, or you could just stay in this variation. If you're in this one, you're chilling, you don't feel a lot going on, see if you can maybe lift the right knee off of the floor, making the stretch a little bit deeper. So just few different modifications, see whichever one feels best for you in this moment. We'll hold it for 2 more breaths. And then from here, lift your right knee back off of the floor. Walk the left foot even more out so that the heel is on the inside of the mat and the toes are just pointing out, so they're a 45-degree angle out. And then see if you can step your back foot forward as well in the same manner as your left foot. So heels in, toes out. Bring your hips down, bring the palms together. You'll bring the elbows on the insides of the knees. So I'll change the perspective here again, so you guys can see your front view as well. So again, heels in, toes out. My elbows are on the insides of the knees. I'm pressing my palms firmly into one another. I lift my chest away from the hips. And then you could stay here, maybe close the eyes to challenge your balance. And then I want you to bring your attention towards your feet. See if you can press it a little bit more through the outside edges of your feet. So a lot of times we'll have a tendency in this pose to kind of dump our arches down towards the floor. See if you can lift them up by pressing the outside edges of the feet down. Good, we'll hold this one for 2 more breaths. Really lengthen through your spine. Last inhale. Exhale, bring the hands down, walk the feet back together, maybe hips distance, maybe this time together with the big toes touching, heels slightly apart, and then just allow the upper body to hang heavy, maybe hold on to opposite elbows, and then gently sway from side to side, bringing some release and decompression into the low back. Your next inhale, come halfway up. Halfway lift, so again, either hands onto the floor, lower legs or upper thighs. Exhale, fold over. Inhale, roll all the way up, bring the arms overhead. Really stretch out. And then exhale, hands in front of the heart. Good. If you have your feet together, bring them hips distance. We'll come back to our chair pose. So sit your hips back as if there's a chair behind you, bend from the knees. Bring your fingertips down so that they're just grazing the floor. Inhale, reach the arms up, keep the legs where they are. See if you can tuck your tailbone a little bit under. Core is engaged, again, lengthening through the spine. And then draw your attention to your legs, again, firming the inner thighs. So you're not actually moving the knees in, you're just firming the muscles as if you were to bring the knees in. Firming the outer hips as well. This is your option 1. Option 2, come high onto your tippy toes. We'll hold this one for 3 more breaths.